friends. Welcome to my video. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my art. This first piece that I'm presenting is called Algae and Amoebas. And the funny thing is I watch British television and some British people pronounce it algae, which to me makes sense because the way the English language is, the rules of the English language say that after a G, if you want it to be soft, it has to have an E, but this one has an A, so it's kind of confusing because I grew up calling it algae. And when I Googled it, they said it is algae, not algae, which is kind of funny. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about some of my art and introduce you to it. I feel like the last year, getting to know myself and going through some things has really is my art these days. Of course, I've been an artist for a few years and a writer as well, which is why I decided to start blogging and vlogging about it. I have made 51 pieces of art in this art style, which I am calling Autistic Expressionism. The birth of a new art form. So anyway, this piece, Algae and Amoebas, was my first piece of Autistic Expressionism, and it was birthed from overwhelm and confusion. As an autistic artist, my mind seems to always have like 35 tabs open, and it can get really difficult reining in all those thoughts. I need time to process, to divide and conquer them. I often have said over the years that my mind is a tornado. I even made a tornado sculpture for a conference one time that I went to with other artists. They had recommended that you bring something about yourself as a part of a centerpiece at the table. And when I brought that, it was crazy because I thought the other artists would understand, but they just looked at me like I was strange, like so many other people had done over the years. And I just was diagnosed in 2024 at 54 years old that I was autistic, and it was like a missing puzzle piece. And so, you know, I kind of lived with that my whole life. Some of the thoughts that I have, people thinking, oh, why does she think that? Or that's weird, or she doesn't understand what I'm saying. A lot of times I don't understand what someone's saying because there might be 3 definitions for the word that they're using, and I can see all 3 options. My brain is just always working. So some of the thoughts that were running through my mind at the time that I created this piece had to do with my life over the past year. My daughter was sharing things with me that I didn't really know how to handle. My mom had fallen and she came to live with us during her recovery, and we didn't know like how much damage would be done long term, what a recovery would be like. So everything was really up in the air with that. And then I had, of course, was still processing my autism, anxiety, and depression diagnosis. Now when I'm talking about the art, this was several months ago that I created this piece, and I have done a lot more processing with, 50 more pieces of art. And I'm feeling really confident now about where I'm at, my art style. I feel very comfortable doing my art style, and you'll be glad to know my mom is on the mend, and she has moved to go live with my brother semi-permanently or permanently, we're not sure. And my daughter is doing well, and I am doing well, processed, now that I've processed a lot of this and have accepted the things that are about myself that make a lot more sense than they did before. So, with this piece, I began with a color palette of lime green, grass green, several different blues, and white. I'm very organized and even OCD because I struggle with boundaries. And I gave you an explanation of that. Like when somebody says something to me, it doesn't feel like, oh, this is what it means. It means like, oh, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this. Problem solving is a big thing for me. If there's something that comes up, here's a solution, here's a different solution. And so reining all that in is difficult, and trying to read what the other person is actually thinking can be very difficult. That's why I've gotten very comfortable with asking for clarification. But because I've struggled with boundaries a lot in my life, organization and structure help me function. So I decided in this piece to create some boxes, aka boundaries. And I turned on some good worship music. And since I was fresh off creating a series of doodle videos for my YouTube channel, I started making lines and patterns and squiggles and dots inside the boxes. And I just gave myself freedom to do that. Listening to worship music starts to calm me inside, and I sing with it. And as I'm singing, I talk to my therapist about how there's 3 parts of me, and it's like the music calms one part of me, the art calms another part, and then the processing is the 3rd part. So when I was doing the art, it's in essence a stream of consciousness art style, like you would do in writing, except with paintbrushes and pens. I didn't think too much about what I was creating as I processed my thoughts and emotions that were overwhelming me. I love flowers, so I made some flower. I'm looking at the words that I've written, and I'm also looking at the art piece. So if I'm not looking at the camera all the time, that's why. But I made some petals. I love flowers. I do. But, flowers have been done a million times by a million artists, and they're all beautiful, but a million artists a million times. But as I'm stream of consciousness flowing, flower petals made me start to think about the rain, so I made some drops. But I liked the darkness of the color I chose for the drops, so then I traced inside with some white, and the contrast was really satisfying. I doodled more flowers. I made a circle and I crisscrossed it with random lines. I played with pen nib sizes and making the little dashes. I made scratches and experimented with alternating colors in the scratches. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's still there on the art piece. I took each thought captive and I analyzed it, I calculated it, I accepted it or rejected it or processed it into my psyche. And when I was finished, I felt like a different person. I was calm and ready for whatever came next. The painting looked very much in my peripheral like water and the things that are living in it, and that's why I named it Algae and Amoebas. And I'm very happy with it, and because of how I felt through the process of it, I continued to do more of that art, and I'm going to share that on my channel and on my blog. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed.